Greetings all, and welcome to Lucas Brews. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, as a way of saying thank you and also celebrating the channel reaching over 3,000 subscribers just recently. I wanted to put together a little video where I'm answering some of the questions you guys have had for me, as well as talking about my future plans for not only the channel but also some of the other projects I'm working on, and sharing a couple of ideas I've had for some future videos. Before I get too much into everything, I would just like to give a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel and commented and helped supported my ideas and projects. Whether you've been here from the beginning or you've only just recently joined up, I really appreciate it. So for almost exactly 8 years now, I've been running this channel with the idea of it being how I'm exploring and improving my model making, as well as being creative and telling stories and learning a bit more about vehicles and history, and hopefully sharing that with you guys through the build videos and the animations. I've also been doing more inbox reviews as well to kind of give you guys an idea on what certain kits are like, and also I'm doing a lot more 3D printing as well, so upgrading kits and developing some of my own models as well. For the channel, I want to continue making regular content, and I'm aiming to have at least one build video every week, and also possibly a second build video or an inbox review. I'll be continuing what I've been doing with my build videos, and that's been of late doing them in 3 parts, covering usually assembly, painting, and weathering, and then at the very end, once I've done all 3, I then combine them into one video for anyone who wants to watch them all together, which just makes it a bit easier for me to edit and also keep content coming out regularly, even if there are delays with something, or I'm a bit unwell, or other circumstances. Admittedly, I have quite a backlog of kits, so I'm not going to be able to build every single one that I do an inbox review of, especially not immediately, as it takes a bit of time for me to make them. But I will be trying to focus on the ones that are a little bit more of interest and build those more immediately, as well as ones that I can design upgrades for as part of my cults page, which I'll talk about a bit more later. And of course, there'll be priority for kits that are being made for particular animations or stories I want to tell. With my 3D printing, I'm planning to try and more regularly introduce new products and designs, which I'm going to be working on. Mainly, they're going to be upgrade sets for old vintage kits, which I'll also have a look at as part of my inbox reviews and eventually build them. And I'll also be doing things like figure packs, so I'm planning to create sets of soldiers as well as tank crew members and pilots to go with current kits. And I'm also going to be trying to develop my own lineup of primarily 1/72nd scale designed tanks, but obviously being a 3D printer, you can print them as big or as small as you can manage. But the idea with that is I'm going to first design interiors for particular vehicles, and then eventually I'm going to design exterior sets that incorporate the interiors. So I've already done something similar with the Soviet T-34. I have the interior set available on my cults page, and I've also now designed an exterior vehicle with the interior already as part of it. So I'm going to be doing this for as many tanks as I can possibly do gradually. Currently it's mainly Soviet tanks with interiors, and I'll gradually be doing the exteriors for those ones as well. But I've also got a few other interiors, like I've got the German initial version of the Tiger, or the early production series. So I'll do the interior set for that, and at a later date there'll then be a full kit. So those kind of projects will feature a lot more in my build videos. I'll be doing a build video pretty soon on the T-34 I've designed and printed, and of course as more products come out I'll try and promote them as well. As well as the build video and inbox reviews, I also plan to have a lot more stop motions coming out more regularly. I'd like to ideally have one coming out every 1 to 2 months, but it's going to vary a little bit depending on the complexity of some projects. Some of them are going to be a little bit more lighthearted and on the dark comedy side of things, like my previous War Thunder sketches, while others are going to be a bit more cinematic and historical, or a bit more gritty. The biggest project that I currently have lined up is going to be about the Battle of Milne Bay. This is one I've actually been working on for a couple of years, and so far I've gotten a fair bit of the script together, as well as a lot of the kits and planning I'll need for actually filming it. There'll be some more build videos coming on particular kits which I'm doing for this project, as well as making some film sets and doing a fair bit of 3D printing for the various characters. The plan for it is to eventually be a multi-part series which focuses on the battle between the Australians and the Japanese. It's definitely going to be a longer term project, but I'm very excited to make it, as I think it's a really incredible story about some very brave Australians who deserve to be remembered a lot more than they currently are. So I'll be continuing development of my Milne Bay script and story in the next couple of months. In between that, I also plan to do some more sketches with the German tank crew characters I've created of Hans, Heinz, Eric, and Schultz. And I also have plans to bring back a old passion project of mine, which was a Girls and Panzer parody script that I wrote with a couple of friends back in year 12. So I know this isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I will be doing other videos around it, so don't worry. But the idea with that is just to finish this project off, experiment a bit with some new animation and planning techniques, as well as seeing what I can do with the 3D printer in terms of set design and character design. So all experiments I'll be using to help learn for when I actually film Milne Bay. So that Girls and Panzer parody is probably not going to appear until at earliest towards the middle of this year. It's also going to make use of a lot of the 3D printed tank designs and interiors I plan to come up with in the next couple of months as well. I'll also be trying to update my Patreon plans slightly so that there's a few more benefits, especially for the higher tiers. I'm planning to try and get regular outtakes out, as I often stuff up a lot when I'm making these videos, and I thought that might be a nice little bonus thing to share. I'll also be obviously sharing a lot more of the behind the scenes, such as storyboarding, extracts of scripts, and other sort of snippets of my films when I'm working on them. And as a general thing, I would like to do a sort of weekly workbench update for pretty much every tier, maybe even just a public one that's on my Patreon page, so you guys can see what I'm working on for each week. I also have had some other ideas which I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on as possible future sort of small video or build series to go with. All of these are sort of in line with my idea of the channel being about creating and building in the hobby, as well as also exploring aviation and history and tank design. One idea I've had is for a sort of long-term diorama series where I build an Australian airport in either 1/700 or a smaller scale like that, so it's nice and big. And my idea is I would start off in like the 1920s, and then in each episode, which might come out like once every month or two, I would gradually upgrade and modernise the airport going through the ages to sort of be a little bit of a love letter to the history of aviation in Australia, and also a bit of an experiment with dioramas and trying different techniques. So it might start in the 1920s barnstorm era, go through the early ages of civil aviation, or maybe even stop over in World War II with airport expansions and that sort of thing. Another idea I've had that's something a little bit different was to actually go back to some designs I made as a kid for a World War II army of intelligent dinosaurs. These were mainly tanks and aircraft, and I thought it would be a bit of a fun series to try and design them in 3D and then print them out and then make a model of them. So be sure to let me know what you think of those two ideas, and if you have ideas of your own that you'd like to see me do, be sure to share them, as I'm very interested to hear what you guys would like to see. So at the moment, I've actually been working full-time on my channel and 3D designing since I've left my previous job. And ideally, I would love for both the build videos and the design work to be sustainable for me financially. Realistically though, if it doesn't remain as consistent as it has and doesn't continue to grow, then I will have to look for some other work. Every little bit helps, so watching my videos as well as sharing them and subscribing to the channel, funding me on Patreon, and purchasing and downloading all my 3D designs really helps out. So thank you to everyone for doing that. So I've got a couple of questions from you guys to answer. The first one is from Paolo Gel, aka Modeling the Comeback, who asked what was my inception to my interest in World War II as well as post-war aviation, and what was the steps that led that into model making. So it all started with aviation, and as a kid I was absolutely obsessed with planes. In fact, I can't remember a time where I didn't absolutely love them. In the beginning it was actually only civilian aircraft, and I still even now don't have an awful lot of interest in the modern military aircraft, but I have grown a bit more with the history. And that sort of happened in year 8 or 9, where a friend of mine introduced me to War Thunder, so that got me into World War II aircraft, and also tanks at that stage. Now, a family member gave me a Airfix Red Arrows gift set at a similar time, and originally I didn't end up building it. It sort of sat in my cupboard for a while, and that was because I sort of had this idea that model making was just for adults. My dad did get me a Concorde gift set, which he ended up having to build when I was around about 3 or so. But after watching some videos from Owen of Quick Kits, I felt inspired and also like I could do it myself. It was a bit rough, as I'm pretty sure everyone's first build is, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and after doing a few more kits I decided it would be fun to do a channel as well of making them and doing animations with them. Building models but also 3D designing sort of started as just a creative hobby, but it's grown and grown until it's eventually started to become a job that I'm really passionate about, and I'm really grateful for that. The other question I've been asked a couple times by J12-N5N is whether or not I could do a group build in the future. Now, this isn't something I'm planning to do immediately, as I don't really have much experience at all with Discord, and I'm not sure how I'd go running a Facebook group as well, as I've been mainly focused on developing my own skills, making the videos, and also the 3D designing. More immediately, however, I do plan to join some of Model Minute's group builds. In fact, I've already joined his vintage group build with the Airfix Banshee. So if you guys want to join me in that group build as well, I'm sure you're more than welcome to. You can go check out his channel as well, which is absolutely fantastic if you haven't seen it. And hopefully that'll be a nice way we can sort of build things together. The other thing I've also been thinking about doing, as mentioned, is putting sort of a public what's on the workbench each week in my Patreon page. So that might be a way I can sort of share the builds I'm doing currently, and then if anyone is also working on that kit, they can talk about it as well. If you guys have any other questions you'd like to ask me, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to all of them nice and promptly. So that's pretty much it for this video. Once again, thank you guys so much for helping the channel to reach 3,000 subscribers. It's absolutely crazy, and I really appreciate everyone's support. For all of the build projects, animations, and designs I make, I want to make sure they're ones that I'm passionate about and want to do. But obviously, I really appreciate you guys' inputs, as it can give me ideas for other things to do and inspiration to finish the ones I'm currently working on. And I hope I can continue making products that people really love for adding to their kits with the 3D printing, build videos that help inspire people as well as teach them what to do and what not to do in some cases, and of course make animations whether they give people a bit of a laugh or teach them about a historical event or give them an appreciation for something they didn't know about. So thanks so much for helping grow the channel to what it is today, and of course until the next video, take care and model on.